We will now begin to return to the chambers. Thank you for enjoying some cake with us. Refreshments for everybody.
Now you just have to adjust it. There's like rollerblade things on it.
I'd ask that we clear the doorway and everyone take your seats, please. Thank you again to everybody for celebrating with us. Awesome. Well, we have two more presentations this evening. I would like to invite my fellow city council members to join me at the lectern for the following presentations. First, we'll go down there first. All right, that's what we'll do. Everybody down. Thanks. Always do that. Nope. Now I'm back on. Oh, and now we're going to raise it back up. Okay, perfect. This has been an exciting day, a historic day, and I'm excited for our first proclamation to recognize Jack and Sharon Larimer. Please come on forward. Please join us here if you'd like. Thank you. Jack, great to see you. We have an exciting proclamation here for Jack and Sharon Larimer of the Vista Historical Society and Museum. Whereas Jack Larimer, director of the Vista Historical Society and Museum at Rancho Minerva, has announced his retirement effective January 3rd, 2025. Congratulations, Jack. And it's been a lot of work, which we will hear about now. Whereas Jack, a lifelong resident of Vista, has served as director since June 2002. During his tenure, he has managed both museum locations and played a pivotal role in the museum's relocation from its former site on Foothill Drive to Rancho Minerva in 2009. And whereas, in his capacity as museum director, Jack has been responsible for the daily operations and long-term strategic planning, the museum's sustainability is supported through fundraising efforts, volunteer engagement, and membership contributions. And whereas Jack, during his time at the museum, he and his wife, Sharon, collaborated closely since her retirement from the city after 36 years, which led her to joining the museum board of directors in 2010. Sharon has proven to be an invaluable partner to Jack through his directorship. Together, they were honored with the Ben Dixon Award in March of 2010 for their outstanding efforts in historical preservation and their significant contributions to the history of Vista, an accolade presented by the Congress of History of San Diego and Imperial Counties in March of 2019. That's awesome. Whereas Jack was honored with the 2024 Lifetime Achievement Award by the Vista Chamber of Commerce during the Heroes of Vista celebration. He is an alumnus of Vista Schools and graduated from the Army-Navy Academy in Carlsbad. Whereas Jack holds a BA in economics from the University of California, San Diego, and an MA in economics from the San Diego State University, he previously dedicated 30 years of service to the city of Vista in the Community Development Department. And whereas the City of Vista and the Vista City Council recognizes the steadfast commitment of Jack and Sharon Larimer to the Vista Historical Society and Museum, which serves as a vital catalyst for the conservation and is highly valued by the community. Now, therefore, the mayor and the members of the Vista City Council convey their heartfelt gratitude to Jack and Sharon Larimer for more than 20 years of devoted and altruistic service to the Vista Historical Society and Museum at Rancho Minerva. We wish you a happy retirement, enriched with delightful trips to Disneyland and success in all of your future pursuits. And I do hereby proclaim Friday, January 3rd, 2025 as Jack and Sharon Larimer Day in the city of Vista. You did a day, January 3rd. Awesome. Thank you so much. This is for you. And would you take a photo with us?
Sure. Please.
Wonderful. Our final proclamation is to recognize the extraordinary efforts of some of our local heroes. Will the following please come forward? Nas Mohammed, Deputies Robert Oliveri and Craig Vanden Boschie, Battalion Chief Brendan Halley, Captain Ryan Dessen, Engineer Dominic Puccio, Captain Chris Jones, Engineer Matthew Ayerman, and firefighter paramedics Michael Saldana, Carl Wagner, and Andrew Martinez. Come on up. Woo! Thank you. Oh, would you like to join us back here? Thank you. I have a proclamation which reads, whereas on November 1st, 2024, at approximately 2:15 a.m., a fire broke out in a mobile home at 245 West Bobier Drive in the city of Vista, trapping a victim inside the burning residence. And whereas Nas Mohammed, a local delivery Eats driver, was nearby when he noticed the flames and immediately rushed into the scene without hesitation. Upon seeing the trapped victim, Nas sprang into action, working alongside deputies and other responders to rescue the victim from the burning home. And whereas Nas entered the first scene where he assisted deputies Oliveri and Vanden Boschie, am I saying that right? Bosch, I'm sorry, thank you, just Bosch, by pulling the victim from a window, displaying extraordinary courage in the face of immediate danger. His swift actions were crucial in the successful rescue of the victim, who had been unable to escape the flames on their own. And the deputies also played a critical role in the rescue. Oliveri, despite the smoke and fire, crawled into the home to reach the victim, and Vanden Bosch, recognizing the urgency, helped lift the victim to safety from the window. Whereas the quick thinking and selflessness displayed by Nas Mohammed, deputies Oliveri and Vanden Bosch saved the life of the trapped woman, who was later life-flighted to UCSD for treatment of smoke inhalation. The first responders from the Vista Fire, led by Battalion Chief Brendan Halley, and including Captain Ryan Deason, Engineer Dominic Puccio, Captain Chris Jones, and Engineer Matthew Ayerman, and firefighter paramedics Michael Saldana, Carl Wagner, and Andrew Martinez played a crucial role in bringing the fire under control and ensuring the safety of the community during this dangerous event. And whereas the actions of Nas Mohammed, Deputies Oliveri and Van Den Bosch, and our fire department staff who selflessly put themselves at risk to save a life are a shining example of heroism, demonstrating the power of community moments of crisis. Their bravery showcases the strength and unity of our community in protecting one another. Now, therefore, the mayor and the members of the Vista City Council do hereby proclaim and commend these heroes for their extraordinary bravery and selflessness during this rescue operation. Their collective actions exemplify courage, compassion, and commitment to public safety that make our community stronger and safer. Thank you for your service. These did not have a home. All right. Next, we will move on to some procedural items. And at this point in the meeting, the presentations are concluded, and therefore we will hold our applause. I will turn the procedural items over to the City Clerk, Kathy Valdez.
In accordance with the Brown Act, I'd like to announce that as a result of convening simultaneous meetings, members of the Bland Education District will receive compensation of $144.75 for the district meeting.
Your mic might be.
Students wishing to receive credit for attending this evening's meeting must stay a minimum of 1 hour. However, we ask that you stay for a completion of an item rather than leaving in the middle of the discussion. When you're ready to leave, you may ask one of the staff in the back of the room to sign your paper. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, when addressing the City Council, and if you'd like to speak on an item on the agenda, please fill out a speaker slip with the number of the item you wish to speak on and give it to the clerk secretary staff. Speaker slips are available on the table just outside the council chambers. For members of the public that are participating through Zoom, you may raise your hand to indicate you would like to speak, or by clicking the raise hand feature on your screen or pressing 9 on your phone. We will announce when to raise your hand to indicate you would like to make a comment on the specific item being discussed. Speakers will have 3 minutes to address the City Council. Now for approval of our agenda by City Manager John Conley.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. There are no changes to this evening's agenda.
Moving on to oral communications. If any member of the public would like to address the council on agency-related matters that are not on the agenda, you may speak by raising your hand or submitting a speaker card. And we will take a limited number of speakers at this time, and remaining speakers will return at the end. For our first speaker, we have Dawn Taylor. If you'd like to join us at the podium. Followed by Sid Rothenberg. Followed by Johanna Ferris. Thank you.
I am here to.
Your mic there, please. Yeah. Pull that towards you.
I'm here to advocate for no smoking policy in apartment complexes. I live in a complex where my apartment is engulfed in smoke from the common wall of our kitchens that join from the people behind me. I'm continually sick. I am now getting headaches. I had an infection in my left lung that the doctor said it looked like that of a smoker, and I don't smoke. It's been a battle, and I just want to get well, and this has been going on since September, and I had pneumonia, and now I'm getting headaches. And I just would hope you would put this on your agenda. And I'm not the only one that I'm advocating for. There are others. We have to close up all our vents, put foil or paper or something, because we share the vents, we share the common walls and the pipes. One night I came home and my whole apartment smelled like marijuana. And it was coming from underneath my kitchen sink because we share those pipes. So they came in and they closed the gaps, but it doesn't help. So please, if you would, think about it and put it on your agenda. It would really be great because I want to get well and I don't want to see other people or kids that live there get sick. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Sid Rothenberg.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor, City Council members, and City Manager. I am here to say thank you to all of you. It seems like only yesterday that I stood here at this time of year to talk about the Gloria McClellan Center. In particular, about the facility itself, programs, and the first initiated services for Vista seniors in 1974, 50 years ago. Here we are already in December, near the end of the year. Hard to believe. In the intervening months, the city has done the following for the center. Helped the center celebrate its 50th anniversary and the grand reopening of the Azalea building after a 12-month-long renovation. Funded some minor repairs and adaptations to the Park Terrace building. Funded roughly $847,000 in the CIP budget for additional repairs, new paint, new floors to both buildings. Regrettably, other major issues arose in the process. The $250,000 funded for the center from the $15 million revenue surplus and vaguely suggested for center programming, we appreciate, but was usurped to cover additional structural upgrades, not all of which has funding for completion. Some additional funding was found to paint and refloor the non-renovated side of the Azalea building. In the meantime, the center has flourished. The staff enjoys having their own office space. The Azalea building is smelling less new. More variety of programs and clubs have been introduced. The number of participants have increased, and there have been more monthly parties, which brings me to this month, December. December is always filled with lots of Christmas activities, special events, and parties. I believe you are given a complete list of events for this month. The funding for all these December events is made possible by a grant from the San Diego Senior Community Foundation. This year, the center is pleased to offer an evening event again this year with music and dancing on Friday the 13th from 6 to 8 p.m. with the idea that working seniors over 50 will be able to attend. Of course, the center always welcomes any and all city council members, city staff, and the senior affairs commissions to attend. I hope to see some of you there, and I wish all of you a very wonderful holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Johanna Ferris.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor, and good evening, council members. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Joana Farias, and I am here as a Vista resident and as a representative of Vista High School State Club. I would like to draw your attention to the issue of trash in our communities. This issue is important to me because Vista is a place where I grew up, and everywhere I walk, I always see trash. My community is being affected by this issue every day. For example, just in 2 community cleanups in downtown Vista, over 350 pounds of litter were picked up from our streets. I would like to ask City Council to consider taking action to prevent this issue from becoming worse. One thing that I believe can be done to address this issue would be speaking on high schools about this problem, because I feel like this issue is not talked about enough, and also encouraging high school students to pick up trash when they see them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Melinda Valencia.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor, and good evening, council members. Thank you for allowing me the time to speak. My name is Melina Valencia, and I'm here not only as a representative of Vista High School's Spreading Tobacco and Alcohol Awareness Club, but as well as a Vista resident. I would like to draw attention to an issue which I believe is becoming more prevalent within our community, and that is substance abuse, particularly the underage consumption of marijuana within our youth. I would like to bring attention to this issue because I feel like as someone who navigates their high school environment constantly and is constantly exposed in witnessing those engage in the consumption of these products without fully understanding the repercussions of using these products, it affects me. My community is constantly being affected by this issue, particularly the youth. And I think this can be demonstrated through the constant marketing, the aggressive marketing of these products onto the youth within our community. And although I feel like there has been things which have been implemented to address this issue, there hasn't been, I feel like there hasn't been enough action that has been taken to fully educate those, and especially on the developing minds of our youth, to advocate for sobriety and not the consumption of these products. I would like to ask the City Council to consider taking action to prevent this issue from further becoming worse. One thing that I believe can be done to address this issue would be offering more programs or city-funded programs that help particularly the youth who are struggling with the consumption of this product or substance abuse in general, recover and enter a journey of sobriety. It isn't my intention to persecute these youth because we are unaware of the personal circumstances which have may led them to indulge in these products, but I would like to bring awareness more into these issues as there are many within the community of Vista who are struggling. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next, we will have our consent calendar. The recommendations on the following consent calendar will be enacted in one motion unless any items have been removed from the calendar. Any member of the public may remove an item by submitting a request to speak card or by raising your hand on Zoom. Items removed from the consent calendar will be considered immediately following the adoption of the calendar. We have 15 consent items this evening. Do any of my council members wish to pull any items? I see Councilmember Contreras.
No, I would like to move approval of the consent calendar. Thanks.
Councilmember O'Donnell?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
I vote aye.
That item passes unanimously, which will take us to our public hearings tonight. There are 3 public hearings this evening. Our first public hearing is regarding amendments to Chapter 10.68 of the Vista Municipal Code related to the use and operation of bicycles within the city. The public hearing is now open. If any members of the public wish to speak on this item, they may indicate so by using the raise hand feature, by pressing 9, or by submitting a request to speak card. Speakers will be called upon after the presentation. And Assistant City Manager Imelda Huerta will introduce the item.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of the City Council. Tonight we will present public hearing number 1, amendments to Vista Municipal Code Chapter 10.68 regarding bicycles. And I would like to introduce our Assistant to the City Manager, Josh Sino Cruz, who will provide the report.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and members of the City Council. Again, as Amela had mentioned, I will be presenting on tonight's public hearing about amendments to the Vista Municipal Code 10.68. So the primary goal of updating the code was to align it with the California Vehicle Code, ensuring consistency and eliminating any potential confusion for cyclists. These changes were driven by safety, clarity, and flexibility. First, the updates are designed to improve safety for all road users. By aligning it with state regulations, we are ensuring that cyclists have clear guidelines that promote safer interactions with pedestrians and motorists. Second, we focused on clarity. By removing redundancies, these amendments make the regulations easier to understand and enforce. And lastly, flexibility. The changes allow cyclists to make safer choices in unsafe conditions. These updates were developed in collaboration with the San Diego County Bicycle Coalition, a partner that has provided valuable expertise in promoting bicycle safety across the region. They have conducted trainings throughout the county, including our own training sessions offered here at the city. This collaborative effort ensures our ordinances reflect best practices while supporting Vista's goal of improving bike and pedestrian safety. So section 10.68050 of the code required cyclists to use bikeways when provided adjacent to a roadway. This has been eliminated to align our local ordinance with the California Vehicle Code section 21208, which already provides cyclists the option to use the roadway under certain situations, especially where using the bikeway isn't the safest option. Maintaining this section in our code created unnecessary redundancy and potential confusion. So section 10.68060 of the code adds the word when to clarify that a cyclist must dismount from their bicycle when they choose to use a crosswalk or sidewalk. This change aims to clarify and emphasize pedestrian safety, and cyclists dismounting in these shared spaces ensures that both are safe. Section 10.68070 regarding bicycle parking is updated to allow parking on a public street or roadway if signage or marked delineation is present. The change will provide flexibility where bicycles can be parked. It'll give the city the ability to manage bicycle parking more effectively while ensuring safe and organized use of public spaces. Section 10.68080 regarding traffic and safety laws for cyclists is streamlined to align it with the California Vehicle Code and emphasizes clarity and enforceability. The previous text was more detailed but also redundant, as it repeated state law provisions already covered in the California Vehicle Code, sections 21200 through 21213. By simplifying the language, we have clarified that cyclists must obey all the traffic signs, speed limits, and other applicable laws while riding. This update also cites California Vehicle Code section 21202B, which allows cyclists to position themselves in the roadway in certain situations where it is safe and necessary to do so. This change ensures consistency between local and state regulations, reducing confusion for cyclists and law enforcement alike. And finally, section 10.68.090 regarding motorized scooters and bicycles adds revised language to clarify the requirements for operators of these devices holding a valid driver's license, that they must comply with all provisions in the California Vehicle Code to ensure safety. To close, staff recommends that the City Council adopt the proposed ordinance amendments as presented. These revisions are important in aligning our local regulations with state law, consistent regional messaging, improving safety, and supporting Vista's goal of fostering a bike and pedestrian-friendly community. That concludes staff's presentation, and we are available to answer any questions.
Thank you. We will now hear the public speakers on this item. Our first speaker is Martin Grover.
Good evening, Council. My name is Martin Grover. I'm a resident of the City of San Diego, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to address the new amendments to the code. I'm in full support. I speak for myself, and I'm full support of the changes that staff is making to the code. I'm also supportive of the staff's work that they put into this. We made a comment, or we made a contact with staff, the city council, or city manager, and Mr. Josh Cruz, I'm sorry, and Sam Hassan. And they worked really well with other members of a group that I was with, bicycle advocates. And so I wanted to just appreciate their efforts. And I think both the bicycle advocates and the city have an interest to make the road safe for all the users, motorists, pedestrians, and bicyclists. And I think this will do the trick for us. And if you have any questions, I'll be here to answer anything you might have. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker on this item is on Zoom. It's Jim Barris. Can you hear us, Jim? Do we have Jim on there? Jim, feel free to unmute yourself and begin your comments.
Hello, can you hear me now?
There you are. Please proceed.
Well, thank you. I wish I had a teenager in the house to help me with all this technology.
It's all good.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm Jim Barros, here to represent the California Association of Bicycling Organizations, known as CABO. CABO members seek to promote and protect bicycling in California for transportation and recreation. Bicyclists ride daily in and through Vista, and we care about everyone's safety and ability to use bicycles lawfully, courteously, and with some measure of safety. I learned that Vista was considering updating its municipal code related to bicycling in October of 2023. I'm proud to have collaborated with your staff on this project, and the results are before you today. On behalf of California bicyclists, I encourage you to adopt PH1, amending Chapter 10.68 of the Vista Municipal Code. I also hope that you will support more educational outreach and activities, as well as equitable enforcement to better inform all road users of their rights and responsibilities. I'm available during the portion of this meeting to answer questions or concerns you may have. Thank you for your attention to this.
Thank you. And our last commenter is also on Zoom representing San Diego County Bicycle Coalition.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Thank you. My name is Derby Pattengill, and though I do not live in Vista, I'm an avid cyclist, and I'm the Advocacy Committee Chair for the San Diego County Bicycle Coalition. I would like to thank the City of Vista for working with the coalition and our other experienced cycling advocates in crafting the proposed amendments to Chapter 10.68 of the Vista Municipal Code. We encourage the City of Vista to continue to collaborate with interested stakeholders and to echo what Mr. Barros just said. We support community outreach to educate all road users of their rights and responsibilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Karina Contreras.
Yeah, thank you to our staff for ensuring that we are compliant with our municipal code. I do have just a few questions. Regarding bicycle parking, it says that no person shall park a bicycle on a public street or roadway unless signage or marked delineation explicitly allows for it. So in that case, let me just give you an example because I'm trying to ensure that I understand it. Let's say we're in the downtown and, it's on Main Street and there's the public street. Does that mean that a bicycle cannot park parallel. You wouldn't be able to just like, a car might be able to park parallel on Main Street, but does that mean that a bicycle cannot take that same space?
So our understanding, and I think the city manager wanted to say something, but I think that based on the current verbiage, we would need signage there to allow for it.
That's correct, okay. And are we looking to, I haven't seen not one sign anywhere in the city of Vista that allows for bike parking. Is that something that we're going to be addressing?
Yeah, so we are currently working on a capital improvement project to install bike racks all over the city, and that will establish a approved bicycle parking location in the right-of-way.
Okay, fantastic. I think, that's something that's going to be critical. And then when we're looking at Vista Municipal Code 10.68, where it says, which allows for exceptions when it is safe and necessary to do so, bicyclists must obey all traffic signs, speed limits, and other applicable laws and regulations. I have a question regarding that. So if I'm riding my bicycle and I'm trying to make a left-hand turn, just right here on Civic Center Drive, left on Vista Village, would I be out of compliance with our municipal code when making that left-hand turn because I'm not able to accelerate my bicycle to the speed limit that is designated for that stretch while I am transversing the intersection?
No, if you're referring to using the roadway with your bicycle to enter the turn lane and make the turn, that's completely legal. And that stretch of Civic Center, we have sharrows in the road. It's designated for use of bikeways, and any road that doesn't have a bike lane on it, the bikes have priority.
Okay, yeah, just trying to understand, make sure. And let's see. Other than that, I just had some examples of me writing. They're in my mind, right, while I'm writing through Vista, and I'm like, am I doing this right or wrong? So, okay, I appreciate that. I look forward to us continuing to elevate the needs of cyclists and ensure safety for all modes of transportation. So I do appreciate cleaning this up. Oh, and I'll go ahead and move approval of staff's recommendation. Thanks.
Councilmember O'Donnell?
I will second that. Just a couple questions, because I looked through this code and it's a million pages long. So at what point is it defined as a motorized vehicle? Is that going to be once a Class A, B, or C license has to be issued? So it's not the size or speed of a e-bike or something like that would delineate a motor vehicle. It's once it would need to be issued a license. Is that correct? Am I understanding that?
Wait, so if you're talking about if it has a motor, yeah, and then you would have to be get a M1 or M2 if it applies.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a random question. You may not have the answer, but it's more out of curiosity than anything. How many citations have we issued to people in the last 2 years for riding on sidewalks with their bikes?
I am not aware of any.
We don't know the answer to that question, but
I'm going to venture to guess it's probably
very
zero.
few.
Yeah. So my point of that question isn't that I'm glad and thank you for the work and the collaboration, because it seems like there was a lot of input that was drawn into this. I'm grateful for that. I think it's great that we're updating this, but I think it just goes to prove, and Josh, one, I didn't know you wore glasses. Two, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said pedestrian-friendly community. And the work that we've been trying to do to create the infrastructure for e-bikes and bike lanes and bike safety for pedestrians to get around the city is something that needs to continue, because while these codes are great, they're very challenging and difficult to enforce, especially when it's just on a sheet of paper. So I appreciate the work, and I thank this council for the work that we have done, and I'd like to see it continue, which is why I've been so supportive of protected bike lanes and all of that. And as ridership grows, especially with adults and even more so with children, I think it's imperative that we keep our finger on the pulse of this. So again, thank you for the hard work. Once again, I will second it, and really appreciate it.
Councilmember Contreras.
I also forgot to add to my motion that we will close the public hearing. Thanks.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
Great. Any further comments? No, then we have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
I vote aye.
Mayor voting aye. That passes. Next, we have our second public hearing on the code amendment to off-site parking requirements for one-family dwellings that is greater than 1,600 square feet in size. Less than. I will state that the public hearing is now open. If any members of the public wish to speak on this item, you may indicate so by using the raise hand feature, by pressing 9, or by submitting a request to speak card. Speakers will be called upon after the presentation. We have Community Development Director Joe Vaca to provide the staff report. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and members of the City Council. So in April of this year, Councilmember Green had placed an item on the City Council agenda, and it was to discuss the parking requirements for new construction of single-family homes on individual lots, and the fact that the current parking ordinance requires an enclosed garage, which at times has been a barrier to construction of new single-family homes of a modest or reasonable size, because the cost of the construction of the garage was representing a barrier to the overall construction cost of an entire project. So the City Council discussed this and directed staff to review the parking code and see if there was a way to provide flexibility. And if so, to propose an amendment to the code to create flexibility to reduce barriers to construction of single-family homes on individual lots. So staff analyzed the parking ordinance. And first and foremost, we want to identify that for one-family dwellings, they're typically required to have 2 covered and enclosed spaces in a garage for each dwelling unit, plus 2 open guest parking spaces. So in conducting our analysis, we're going to leave that the same, but we are going to provide an amendment that's proposed for new construction of one-family dwellings that are equal to or less than 1,600 square feet on an individual lot. We're building in flexibility where property owners may choose whether they want to provide either 2 enclosed spaces in a garage, or they could choose 2 covered spaces under a carport, or they could provide 2 open spaces in addition to the 2 open guest spaces. So they would still be required to provide 4 on-site parking spaces. They would just have options as to how they would want to provide those, either enclosed or covered or open. With that, there would be no other changes in the parking ordinance. So Planning Commission reviewed this at a public hearing on November 5th and voted unanimously in support of what was proposed and recommended that the City Council adopt an ordinance to effectuate the amendment. So tonight, the recommendation is for the public hearing and to receive testimony. And ultimately, staff recommends, along with the commission, that the council adopt an ordinance to amend Chapter 1854 of the Development Code, updating the parking requirements for new construction of one-family dwellings that are equal to or less than 1,600 square feet on individual lots. And this proposed code amendment is exempt pursuant to CEQA. And lastly, just want to indicate and highlight that staff reviewed the floor plans for manufactured homes and that the square footage of 1,600 is extremely reasonable. The majority of those prefabricated home plans are less than 1,600 square feet in size. That concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Now we have members of the public who wish to speak. We have Bill Kavanaugh.
Thank you. I spoke for this measure back in, I think, in November, and I applaud you for doing the research and making these recommendations. As a real estate developer and a contractor and soon to be resident of Vista after we get our certificate of occupancy for the home that I'm building in Vista. I think this is a great thing. I think this really shows Vista's leading the way at helping build affordable housing for people that want to get into single-family residences and not have that added burden of the additional cost of a garage, which ends up being a storage facility anyway. So I think this is a great thing. And I will tell you that I work all over Southern California, and I get a lot of people that ask me, they're looking for land. I'm a huge advocate of Vista, and I think from what you folks done and what Joe has done, I think I really am high on the city of Vista. I think it's a great destination. I love the downtown, and I think in the future, this is a great city, so I applaud you for what you're doing.
Thank you for your comments. Next, we have Jacob Aldridge. Is Jacob still with us? Perhaps not. We'll move to member comments. Councilmember Dan O'Donnell.
Make a motion to close the public hearing and adopt staff recommendations.
Pardon me, we have a Zoom comment, but I appreciate that motion. This is for the caller calling with Samsung. Feel free to unmute and begin your comments.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm Jacob. I had to leave, so I am joining this way. Thank you for taking my comment, City of Vista, and thank you for your time. On the matter of mandating garages for single-family residences, I would like to share my opinion. Housing regulation like this, written for the purposes of preserving property values through beautification, but does not improve the safety or well-being of the members of the community, is an improper use of regulation generally, I think. So I'm in support of this change. It's improper because it causes housing prices to increase at a time when housing is the most expensive in the last 50 years. I hope in my lifetime there will be a time when our resources are so bountiful we can consider regulations like this again. I recommend adopting this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Councilmember Contreras.
I'll go ahead and second the motion. I do have a question. So for new construction of a single-family dwelling, right now we have to provide 4 total parkings. Okay, and
Yes.
have we conducted a parking study any recent time to see if that's like enough or?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
that was done in 2016, and it was determined to be appropriate, and we haven't had issues since then, and we still think that's appropriate. So we had a wholesale parking ordinance analyzed with consultants in 2016, and the analysis proves to still be effective.
And so I'm curious to see, if you're having a smaller home, that there's still the requirement for 2 guest parkings. So that's something that I'm curious about. But I think that this is a step in the right direction. And I'm just curious to see if there's more that can be done to make housing more affordable by looking at the totality of what we're expecting folks to have on their property, especially because we went to smaller lot sizes. So, I'm not sure about mandating 2 guest parkings, especially if we are able to get into the realm of, tiny homes or whatever the case might be. So that's a conversation that, I'll take offline. Thanks.
I will just share with you that with accessory dwelling units, if they're within a certain distance of transit, they don't have to provide parking, and so that has happened in many areas throughout Vista, and those are much smaller floor plans, and it has been appropriate. But with single-family homes at 1,600 square feet, you have multiple bedrooms, and you do have guests, and so we want to make sure that we have off-site parking so that the streets don't become cluttered. So that's part of the analysis.
Okay. Yeah, and just a quick follow-up question. Do we know what additional costs is associated with having to have 2 guest parking spaces?
The guest parking spaces is nominal because you still have to have the driveway to the standard spaces anyhow. And so typically that is utilized for a double stack. And so there's almost no cost associated with that because you have the driveway there anyhow. But we do know that a garage in some instances can be upwards of 25% of the total construction cost when using a prefabricated plan for constructing a house.
Okay, so by the council moving this code amendment forward, we are essentially reducing the cost by 25%.
Yes, you're reducing the barriers to construction by approximately 25% in costs. And there may be people that choose to build a garage that want to have a garage, and they can. So this is more permissive and it provides flexibility, so it hopefully would make everybody happy.
Well, making everybody happy was Joe Green's specialty, so awesome, thanks.
Thank you for your comments. I agree this is a good way forward where there still might be some adaptations that we need to make depending on what additional housing types we allow. I was curious what other cities in our region have done in this front. Are we innovating here, or do other cities have similar ordinances?
No, we're innovating. We looked at other jurisdictions, and most all jurisdictions require garages for single-family homes.
Okay. I mean, I can see other cities following suit, so this is great. With that, we have a motion and a second, and seeing no further speakers, I will call for our vote here. Mayor Franklin, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you. That item passes unanimously. Our final hearing